What if I told you that some of the most famous people on earth, actors, singers, and even leaders, are no longer walking red carpets but prison yards? These are not crazy stories. They are real facts, and the tales behind them are just as dramatic as the lives they once lived in this video. We are going to talk about who is locked up, the surprising crimes that got them there, and at the end, we will share one last name that nobody ever thought would end up in jail. Number 7. R. Kelly. For many years, Robert Sylvester Kelly, known as R. Kelly, was one of the biggest names in R&B with his smooth voice and songs that topped charts. His music played at weddings, parties, and special moments for millions everywhere. To his fans, he seemed full of charm and pure talent, but behind all the fame and cheers, dark questions were starting to rise. The first claims came out in the early 2000s, shaking the image of a man who seemed untouchable. In 2002, he was charged after a leaked video showed him in a disturbing act with someone underage. After long years of court fights, he was found not guilty in 2008, and for a while his career went on strong. His music empire kept growing, while many ignored the truth that changed in 2019 when the powerful show Surviving R. Kelly was released. It gave a voice to women who had been silent for years. Their stories showed a painful world of control, fear, and abuse. The effect was huge. People could no longer pretend not to see what had been known for so long. Soon after the law caught up with him in 2022, Kelly was given a 30-year prison sentence in New York for racketeering and related crimes. Then in 2023, he got another 20-year sentence in Chicago, with 19 years running at the same time. This means he will spend about 31 years in prison and is not likely to be free before December 2045. The man once loved for singing "I Believe I Can Fly" is now facing a harsh reality, created by his own choices, and his once bright legacy is forever stained. Number 6. Jared Fogle. For more than 10 years, Jared Fogle was known as the symbol of healthy living across America. He became famous after losing over 200 pounds by eating Subway sandwiches, a story that made him the face of the US company. Fogle visited schools, gave motivational talks, and was praised as proof that hard work and self-control could change a life. But behind that clean image, something very dark was happening in 2015. Everything fell apart when the FBI searched his home in Indiana and found disturbing evidence: thousands of illegal files involving minors. The investigation went deeper, showing that Fogle had traveled to meet underage individuals and was involved in criminal acts linked to his own charity. What once seemed like an inspiring story turned into one filled with shock and disgust. People were stunned, and Subway quickly cut all ties, removing his image from their brand. The strong evidence left no doubt, and Fogle made a deal with federal prosecutors. Later that year, he was sentenced to 15 years and 8 months in prison, and the soonest he could be released is 2029. The man once known as the sandwich hero now lives a very different life behind bars, losing all his fame, trust, and influence. His story is a harsh reminder of how fast success can disappear and how public respect can crumble when private choices reveal a darker truth. Number 5. Josh Duggar. For many years, the Duggar family was shown on TV as the perfect example of old-fashioned values, strong faith, and simple living. Their show, 19 Kids and Counting, let people see a home full of order, belief, and happy faces to viewers. They looked like the true picture of goodness and Christian morals. But behind that image, dark truths began to appear. At the center was their oldest son, Josh Duggar. In 2015, old police reports came out showing that Josh had behaved inappropriately toward several minors, including some of his sisters, since the events were too old for legal action. No charges were filed, but the public reacted fast. His good name fell apart, and TLC canceled the family show. Still, the worst part of his story was yet to come. In 2021, federal agents accused Josh of owning and receiving illegal material involving minors. The FBI called the evidence some of the worst they had ever seen. Even though his lawyers tried to defend him, The jury found him guilty in 2022. He was sentenced to 12 years and 7 months in prison, and he could be released. In 2032, the Duggar family, once known for preaching honesty and moral control, had to face a painful truth inside their own house. The man, once seen as an example of purity and family pride, had become a symbol of deceit and the risks of hiding behind a perfect image. His story is a serious warning that no matter how clean someone appears, they cannot escape the results of their actions. Number 4. Ian Watkins. In the early 2000s, Ian Watkins, the lead singer of the Welsh rock band Lost Prophets, was seen as the voice of a new generation. With his strong stage energy, wild image, and emotional songs, the band became famous worldwide, selling out shows and hitting top charts. To many fans, Watkins was the heart of alternative rock. But behind all the fame and bright lights, there was a terrible truth hiding. By 2012, a police investigation into drug crimes led officers to search his home. And what they found shocked even the most experienced investigators. They discovered disturbing digital files, messages, and proof of serious crimes involving minors. What they uncovered was worse than anyone could imagine. In 2013, Watkins admitted guilt to many serious charges, including the abuse of children. The case became even darker when 2 women, both mothers, were also found guilty for taking part in his crimes. The news horrified people everywhere, and fans could not believe it. That December, a court sentenced Watkins to 29 years in prison, plus 6 years of supervision after release. Later, he got another 10 months added for having a phone in prison. His earliest chance for release is not expected until far into the 2040s. The results were fast and complete. Lost Prophets broke up right away. Their music was removed from radio and playlists all over the world. Fans destroyed their albums, unable to separate the music from the horror. Once seen as a rock legend, Ian Watkins is now remembered not for his songs, but for the crimes that destroyed his name. The man who once sang of "Last Train Home" now faces a one-way trip into silence and shame. Number 3. Gary Glitter. In the 1970s, Gary Glitter, born Paul Gadd, was one of the biggest stars in glam rock. Known for his shiny outfits, tall platform boots, and wild stage energy, his songs filled stadiums and sold millions of copies to fans. He looked unstoppable, a symbol of a time full of flash and excitement. But behind that bright image was a dark truth that would destroy his life and name his first major scandal. Came in 1999, when he was found guilty of having illegal images of minors. The news spread everywhere, and even though he served his time, his fame was gone. After his release, he moved from country to country, trying to stay out of the spotlight. But trouble followed him wherever he went. In 2006, he was convicted in Vietnam for wrong actions with young girls, making his name even more infamous. When he went back to the United Kingdom in 2015, he was put on trial again under Operation U-Tree, an investigation into old crimes by famous people. Glitter was found guilty of several offenses from the 1970s and 1980s and was sentenced to 16 years in prison. In early 2023, after serving about half his sentence, he was released under strict rules, but within weeks he broke them by using a device to access banned content. The authorities quickly sent him back to prison today. The man, once seen as a bold and colorful rock star, lives in disgrace, locked away and remembered, not for his music, but for the terrible choices that ended his career. His story stands as a hard reminder that fame might delay justice, but it can never erase it. Number 2. Danny Masterson. For many years, Danny Masterson was a well-known face to millions of TV viewers, best recognized for playing Stephen Hyde in the popular sitcom. That 70s show, he carried a look of cool humor and effortless confidence to fans. He was part of a cast that shaped a generation of comedy. But behind the scenes, serious accusations began to grow, and his career started to fall apart. The breaking point came in 2017, when several women, some who were former members of the Church of Scientology, which Masterson also belonged to, came forward accusing him of sexual assault from the early 2000s. Masterson strongly denied everything, but the reaction was quick. His agency dropped him, and Netflix removed him from its show The Ranch. After that, a long and widely followed court battle began. The first trial in 2022 ended with no decision, because the jury could not agree. But in 2023, the new trial brought a very different result. The witnesses described not just the assaults, but also the threats and harassment they said they faced after speaking out, reportedly from people tied to the church. The jury found Masterson guilty on 2 of the 3 charges, and in September 2023, the judge gave him a tough sentence. 30 years to life in prison. He was taken away right after, for someone once seen as a powerful figure in Hollywood comedy. His downfall was fast and total. Now Danny Masterson is not remembered as the funny Hyde from TV reruns, but as a warning. His story is a strong message that fame cannot protect anyone from the truth, and that justice, even when delayed, still comes in the end. Number 1. Elizabeth Holmes. At just 19, Elizabeth Holmes left Stanford University with a big dream to change medicine. She started Theranos, a company that claimed it could run hundreds of blood tests with only 1 drop of blood. With her black turtlenecks, deep voice, and strong presence, Holmes was called the next Steve Jobs. Investors rushed in, and she raised almost $1 billion in 2015. Forbes even called her the youngest self-made female billionaire. But behind the shiny headlines and magazine covers, her company was built on weak foundations. The technology never really worked. Test results were wrong. Patients got inaccurate diagnoses. Yet Holmes kept going. Instead of fixing the problems, she reportedly misled investors, doctors, and the public. Faked demos, pressured employees, and kept up the illusion that Theranos was a life-saving breakthrough. By 2018, the truth could not be hidden. Federal prosecutors charged Holmes with wire fraud and conspiracy, starting one of the most watched trials in Silicon Valley history in January 2022. A jury found her guilty on 4 counts. Later that year, she was sentenced to 11 years and 3 months in prison. In May 2023, she went to a federal prison in Texas to start her sentence. The woman, once praised on TED stages and magazine covers, now faces a very different life. Holmes, who promised a revolution in healthcare, has become a warning story, showing that even in innovation, things can be fake, and trust once lost is almost impossible to get back. Hollywood Today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, so you don't miss any new videos. See you in the next one.